Soccer at 9521 Westheimer Road, between the corner of Westheimer and Tanglewood. If you want to look for your national club apparel, whichever team you support, obviously Dynamo and whatever other teams that you support around the world, come here, support, buy all the good stuff. A lot of great jackets, jerseys. Amazing store, amazing store. Can't believe I can't
special guest.
I can't believe it's my first time here. anyways, we just saw our guests come in. You know, this is live. Live's a lot of good things gonna happen, man. But you know, a lot of great stuff. Glad to have Hermin Benitez. You guys know him as the Dinamico. First time on the show, man. What's going on, my guy?
I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be joined by our special guest this evening, man.
For sure. He's just walking in right now. We're gonna give him a little bit of time to walk it to get everything clean. What's going on, Victor? How you doing, Mark?
Hey, Victor. Good to see you, bro.
So anyways, man, obviously we got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff to talk about. 2 matches. Obviously, this past Saturday we had the Texas Derby and in Austin. Not a good time. OSG. Sorry, you were there this past Saturday.
Oh yeah.
You want to tell us about the?
Not really, but
I mean, it just seems that every time we go to Austin, it's like a kryptonite for us up there. I'm not sure what it is. Even when because Austin's not a good team right now at the moment, but they seem to find a way. They seem to always raise their game up when it comes to these clásicos or derbies, you know, and the Dynamo seem to play down to their level or play even lower. So obviously the fact that what we saw this past Saturday was not it.
Seems like it every freaking time. We just don't bring the energy, don't bring the fight, and I hate it because I stayed home to go watch this game and hang out with the Surge and ED and the supporters, and just the performance was just ridiculous, and it's so disappointing how inconsistent we have been every game.
Yes, that's the key word. I think is inconsistency. I mean, obviously we're coming off of 3 games win streak, 1 in U.S. Open Cup, 2 back-to-back 1-0 wins. So you're thinking, hey, you know, it's on the up and up. We're gonna go into Austin. Austin is obviously, like I mentioned, not really good at the moment. They got some players, but not really good at the moment. And then to just drop the ball like that, I mean, I'll come to you, man. Your thoughts on the game, and obviously, you know, just how do you feel about
Yeah, man, I was regretting making the trip. You know, that was uninspiring. You know, it was an uninspiring performance. You know, it just they didn't look like I asked Ben Olsen after the game. You know, like the attack looks stagnant. You know, it's like nobody's making runs. It's just there's no movement in the attack. You know, give me some stuff about, you know, link ups and, you know.
Still trying to figure it out.
Right. But what about you, Victor? What did you watch the game or what you see?
I saw it from home because I didn't think it was I didn't think the trip up there was gonna be much worth going for.
Yeah.
Plus, you can find it. I mean, you can sometimes follow a little better at home, but it was weird for me because I mean both teams are kind of very similar, right? Austin's got kind of the same problems. They got kind of the same playing style. I would say the coach is kind of the same, but you could tell they were a little bit more under pressure. I mean, obviously they were the home team. The run of results, they really needed to get, you know, that victory. But I thought, you know, it could have gone either way. Could have even been a tie, depending on how each team lined up. I think it was just Austin's night. I don't think the Dynamo helped the situation the way they came out either. To y'all's point, I mean, I think it's just. I mean, we've seen already what this play style is. There's no real flexibility to have a playmaker, somebody just take over a game and win it for you. You see it sort of happen at the end of the games where guys, you know, try to just shoot on goal and try to make something happen in the last 10 minutes or something. But by that point, I mean, I like to see that earlier in the game. But I mean, my biggest question about it is, does it even matter to people? I mean, are fans really devastated? Does this really feel like a rivalry loss? Because that's, to me, the reaction. I think that's what was more shocking to me, that people were kind of like, It's whatever. On to the next game kind of deal.
And this is one thing I want to ask, because I mentioned, obviously Austin's only been in existence for a couple of years, right? And obviously, them being an in-state rival, or, you have that natural connection of a rivalry there. Obviously, we know that the FC Dallas and us rivalry is a lot more up there than Austin's. But do you think they see it as a classic or a derby, obviously, and they see it as like, hey, obviously, depending on where we're at in the standings, whatever. But these games against our in-state rivals, Dallas.
I don't think they do, honestly. I mean, I think even maybe the FC Dallas one too. I mean, I think the FC Dallas one has some history, and I mean, it's obviously Dallas versus Houston, so just kind of by default. But I don't think you feel it. I don't think you get that sense from the coaches, from the players. It seems like a lot of, I mean, they might say it. It seems like a lot of coach big or a lot of cassette answers, but do they really show it? Do they really play for the badge? I mean, I think that's kind of what we're trying to see here with this current regime, with the current crop of players. To me, I just think that's that culture that supposedly they change, but I don't really see it change. You see it in games like this where, and part of it is too, because they're, all the coaches, all the sporting directors, they're all friends. I mean, they're friends with Austin, they're friends with Dallas. So, naturally, there's not that
the hatred.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't want to put that, but it's true.
But
And fans put in the sweat equity. They make the trip up, right? They rent a bus, whatever you got to do. And it just seems for all that effort, the team doesn't really put an effort on the field. And this is my opinion. I know it's going to ruffle some feathers, but it just doesn't feel like the effort is seen there to where it feels like these guys are saying, "Hey, come on, we got couple hundred people that make the trip up, give up their Saturday night to come see us. And this is the effort we're going to give them."
For sure. OSG, let me ask you this, man. Do you think that the Dynamo have this maybe complexity of, hey, we're the older team. We won the championships. We have the US Open Cup trophies and stuff like that. Austin, you just barely came in. You haven't done anything yet. So we don't even acknowledge you as a derby or as a rival yet.
Well, yeah.
But they keep racking up the wins.
Right. The fans keep it a rivalry mainly. Like he said, the clubs don't make it a rivalry. It doesn't feel like a rivalry. Like you said, the players don't come out and play for that badge and feel sorry when they lose. It's a Griffin Dorsey that comes and tells us sorry whenever they lose on the road, and the fans are there.
No longer on the team.
Right. No, we don't have somebody like that anymore. Like, even Ben walked out prior at the beginning of the game, and he didn't get claps when he walked over to the supporter section to thank for showing up. And he got a couple of boos from up there, and it's a struggle. But the rivalry part of it, it's more just the fans. And this is Austin's 6th year. They've had one good year out of all of them. They're pretty little trophy. They don't care. They're not caring. They're saying they're selling out, but they're missing 5,000 people every game now. I think they're losing their perspective as well, and it's just a fan thing.
Well, yeah, I get that, and I'll ask you this, man. I mean, obviously, like, they're a small little club. They've only been around for 6 years. They only have one winning season, but out of those 6 seasons, 5 of them they've beaten us, and they've beaten us resounding at their place, And there's even been times where they beat us here at home as well. So, when do we get that like, I guess, that monkey off our back where we think like, hey, this club isn't what it is? I mean, at the end of the day, it's still 3 points available to you, points that are available to you to help in the standings, especially this season where this game could have put you back into playoff contention where you're still outside looking in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my question to you is like, when do you think the Dynamo really start taking this game seriously against Austin?
I think they should already, Yes, the Dynamo fans look at the trophies as the justification, but the reality is that when the Dynamo won those trophies to now, the league has changed completely. We're not even competitive as a front office.
20 years ago.
Yeah. 20 years ago.
Well, we haven't been competitive since the last cup we were even in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a disaster. Like I said, I think it's one of those things. Once we start getting from a fan base, from a supporter standpoint, and I'll put this on myself, where I start to get a little bit of an optimism in me, where I'm like, oh man, okay, they're getting there. 1-0 wins. They're not sexy, but but they're getting the points, and the stuff is going right, and and we're climbing up the table, and then a game, I guess a so-called track game that we should win, we shit the bed.
Right.
And
Right.
and unfortunately, it sets us back. And that's just what happened with Austin. Now I want to talk about a couple things about obviously we have the loud noises about Ponce not scoring. To be honest, my standpoint as well too. I think Bodegas should be right there on level with Ponce as far as the ineffectiveness of their lack of scoring or playmaking or assisting or whatever to help the team win. Victor, I'll come to you. Are you are you still giving Bodegas time, or do you think he still needs time to get acclimated to the team? Or obviously Ponce might be a little bit of a different situation. But just your
Well,
thoughts.
I mean, I think that pressure is going to come internally, right? I mean, this is where there's too much leeway, right? There's too much comfort with, oh, it's a long season. Oh, I mean, that's where in the press conferences, which I mean, you can tell Wilson doesn't really like to do them, but I mean, that's if you saw some way of having an advantage of using these press conferences, you'd say, hey, this is where I send the players a message, right? Through the public. Yeah, hey, Ponce has got to step it up. Or hey, we expect Bogish. I mean, we know he can do it. We expect more numbers from him. He knows it, that kind of thing, right? Where you don't necessarily throw him completely under the bus, but you just apply some pressure publicly and say, hey, he knows he's got to do better. I was concerned last night. I mean, you're playing a USL Championship side, and Bogish can't run up against the defender and take him on. And I mean, you think that he would be at a level where he should be able to take on a USL defender. No disrespect to the USL. I'm just saying, I mean, that's the level you expect him to be. And if he can't even do that, if Anali can't even find some space last night and create an individual play, and granted, I mean, I think naturally they want to go up top. Guillermo, I mean, they want to drive at defenders. That's why I always go back and sort of criticize the system. Let those guys have some leeway. Let those guys have some chances. And I mean, there's not. What you just said, the way the way they approach some of these games, like Austin, it's not life or death for them, right? It's not like they're seeing it all. This is the must-have 3 points. They treat it like another game. I mean, I think you can see the way they play, the intensity, compared to Colorado or whatever other games, Orlando. I think you can compare and say, man, it's similar, right? So it's not like they treat this super different. Why not experiment? Why not? I mean, that's where you can use the advantage of, all right, it's a long season, it's a long way to the playoffs. There's no real pressure from media. There's no real pressure from fans. I mean, just let's experiment here. Let's have guys have some imagination, some creativity, and let's see what they can do. Now's the time to do it instead of waiting, in the summer or August, September.
Yeah, and I think you make a great point there. Obviously, where a lot of people, there's obviously the noise of whether or not we continue with Ben Olsen as the head coach or anything like that. It's it goes up and down as the season goes, right? And then obviously we have a lot of players on the bench who they brought in, and we think, hey, maybe this player can do something because you want to be motivated to get on the pitch and you want to showcase that that you have the abilities to be in the starting 11. And then obviously he comes in with the same lackluster starting lineup that hasn't done anything for the last 3 games. Plays it safe. Obviously, you're playing the players that you're paying. I guess some people would look at it that way. But OSG, obviously, for you, on the standpoint of let's take for example, you mentioned it, letting players to play more freely. The Orlando City game, and now he makes that great run. I think he gets past 4 or 5 defenders. Obviously doesn't score, but the rebounds there are available for Ponce, and then obviously Hector scores the game-winning goal. But to allow a little bit more freedom, I mean, you have players like that. You brought in players like that. Do you think that he just has the leash on too tight on these players?
Well, I mean, he made a great point. Yeah, we're complaining about the tactics and the strategy of the game, and what Ben's trying to tell these guys to do, and you can see the struggle. Like last night, they're playing possession. The game before last night against Louisville, they're playing a possession game. Against Austin, he didn't care about possession, and you see him on the sideline dictating like he's a youth coach still. These are professional players. You're playing these millions of dollars. Let them have some freedom.
And here's the other thing. It's not just Olsen. You got Kenny Bundy out there. You got other coaches, I think, kind of each. I mean, so who are players listening to? I mean, is this like American football where you got an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and I mean, so there's all these variables too, right? I mean,
I wish I knew that answer because I think Ben Tech really doesn't listen to Bunny and Guerrero enough.
But you have I think it was Bundy last night, or it might have been somebody else. they got Linger over there on the side, right, with an iPad, and they're like showing him something like, well, he's getting the water breakers. I mean, is that really effective too, right? I mean, I think they're overcomplicating stuff. That's why, when you want to be optimistic about what this team could be, I mean, they got some players to work with. You'd like to see, and that's part of the reason I think of also getting people to games, getting people to buy into this team. People want to see goals, right?
Yeah.
People want to see an attacking team. It's no different than football. They want to see touchdowns. They want to see home runs in baseball. Same thing here. And again, I go back to there's not really any pressure. I mean, this is a cakewalk. It's an easy job for these guys. I'm sure they don't like some of the comments that they get, but this is nothing compared to anywhere else in the world. And again, I think naturally, I mean, even the criticism, a guy like me, I mean, they might think I'm just, trying to shit on the team and talk every time, but I do it from a point of I want to see this city get behind and really show its true love for soccer.
For sure.
And we've seen it in international matches. We've seen it
They all sell out.
year after year, and even before the Dynamo were in town. If we look at the history, I mean, it's just a city that lives and breathes the sport, and you just want to see it to the full potential. And I have to imagine, again, nobody's going to say it. Coach isn't going to say it. The players aren't going to say it because they're not going to screw with their paycheck. But they want to play inside of a full house. They want to play in a full stadium. They want that place rocking. They want this to be a place they want to be. Because otherwise, that's when players start asking for get out or go get traded.
And I mean, I'll ask you this, and then we'll go on to the next subject after that. You mentioned obviously, that players ain't gonna, coaches ain't gonna say it. Players aren't gonna say because they're worried about their paycheck and stuff like that. But who's holding them accountable? I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, if you get fired or you let go, I mean, that paycheck is no longer there.
Right.
So I mean, it's one of those things where, like, if I was a head coach, if I'm putting on my Ben Olsen hat and I see that, man, my things just ain't working out the way I'm expecting it to work, hey, maybe I gotta throw a Hail Mary. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago, maybe it was last year, if I'm not mistaken, Felipe Andrade, unknown Brazilian kid coming in, and he makes such a great impact to the point where we let Franco Escobar go because he replaced him.
Right.
I mean, how do you know what you have if you don't let them, get the opportunity to?
I agree.
So, I mean, who's holding? Is anybody holding Ben Olsen accountable? Is what I'm trying to ask.
And that's what we should be talking as media right now, in my opinion. Pat has gotten a pass from everybody, and we should be putting more pressure on Pat because that's who is holding Ben Olsen accountable. We didn't do a good enough job in theory. We didn't do, I was shocked at the lack of pressure after last season. Ben Olsen gave the speech, felt like his job was safe. Like, that's the cakewalk that Victor's talking about. If we were a serious club, there need to be some serious debate, some serious explanations from Pat Onstad why he decided to keep Ben Olsen. It's been 3 years. I don't understand the style, the identity.
Well,
I don't understand the identity.
They're going to go to 2023 and say they were a game away from the final.
Yeah, right. And then to your point, I agree with Victor. Yes, winning
The Open
helps.
Cup title, they're going to throw it.
This isn't an entertainment business. Love to hear it or not, this is an entertainment business. And people want to go to the stadium and have a blast. They want to see an attacking style. That's not what the team is offering, man. And what happens because of that? Players like Jack McGlynn, players like Bogusz, they look worse than they really are because in this style of play, now you're depending on individual talent to win you a game here and there. If you analyze even Ponce's goals last night, it's like a turnaround, let me shoot type thing. It wasn't like Louisville's goal, that it was a through ball, a dangerous cross in the box. That's my critique, and more pressure should be on Pat. Not just because of holding Ben accountable. It's like, dude, kudos to you for finding Guilherme, Felipe Andrade. You've done great on the bargain signings. But when you focus all your energy and the analytics on the splash signing, you kind of swung and missed. Sebas Ferreira, Bogusz, Ponce. The big signings that's the criticism to Pat Onstad and Asher.
And I like to compare the comparison of what Orlando City did. Oscar Pareja won the U.S. Open Cup. That stadium has been full. Orlando City, the last couple of years, has stepped up to the plate to become a rival of Inter Miami, which we know Inter Miami right now is, signing everybody left and right? And they've gone toe to toe with that juggernaut in Florida. They said 3 games, hey, I don't know what happened. But for whatever reason, it's not going. We're going to make an investment in a world-class player in Griezmann, and we don't think you're it. Hey, it's cutthroat.
Yeah.
You're investing
not here, but
you're investing the money. This is not, and you got to make it happen. But anyways, guys, we can spend the whole show talking about that. Let's talk about something a little positive. Obviously the U.S. Open Cup round of 16 happened last night. The Dynamo go into extra time to win 2-1 over Louisville City FC, the USL club that currently is on top of the USL at the moment. OSG, you were at the game?
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately. a little long?
Oh yeah, a little long with the extra time. Thankfully we didn't have to go to penalty kicks, but it shouldn't have gone to that 90 minutes or even 120. Man, the first half was lackadaisical.
Mm-hmm.
Again, no identity, no idea. There's no fight, nobody. Yeah, nobody taking control.
Put that game out of reach. They're the superior team. They're at home.
Yeah, I think basically we spoke about it offline that that game, the fact that Dynamo won didn't surprise you, right? But the fact that it took them so long to get to the point to obviously winning is what was surprising about it. But you would think if Louisville was fully staffed, because they were missing 5 starters according to the commentators, stuff like that, would have been a cup set. Would have been a cup set. But unfortunately. Or fortunately, it went well for the Dynamo. They advanced and they're going to face St. Louis here in a couple of weeks at their place. But obviously it's a little bit of a positive. Obviously, the U.S. Open Cup is a trophy that obviously we do look forward to competing in a tournament that we do look forward to competing in. Obviously, because the prize is a conference as a CONCACAF champion spot for you to go and play against teams in Liga MX and stuff like that. So, but. My question to you had been: do you think that the Dynamo are gonna fare well against St. Louis going at their place? Obviously you play back-to-back USL competitions. Obviously 2 weeks from now we could be talking a whole different story. We got a couple of games between there and now. But just obviously Getterman was not even on the bench, right? They were trying to give him time off, to kind of rest because obviously he's been one of our most used players.
Sound like he wasn't happy about that.
But you think, it's like, hey, if this guy is bringing you the goods, let him continue bringing you the goods. But obviously, I understand that you want to give other people an opportunity to bring in the goods as well. But you can see there is no creativity.
There's no creativity, but the identity of this team, to me, I could be wrong, is they're trying to be defensive and counterattack. That is perfect for a knockout tournament. So, do I think we're better than San Luis?
Yeah.
Do I think we're better than San Luis? No, but this style of let me hold off the pressure and counter you with Guillermo, that can work in a knockout, knowing that you got penalties or extra time. Whereas in MLS play, where you got to create, that doesn't work so well. Draws aren't good enough.
But I guess it also depends on the opponent, because if the opponent's already scored 2-3 goals.
Yeah, no doubt. Then
you're wrapped up. Victor. Obviously the struggles against a USL club like that is just But obviously, we'll talk about this, and I want to talk about this because obviously my friend here to the side has a little bit of a different opinion about it. But the reemergence of Ache, 2 assists last night. Obviously, you can tell that the team gravitates towards him as far as obviously he's not our captain, but people look.
But he has a presence.
He has a presence.
He has experience, and no, he's not a spring chicken.
Yeah,
but he can still dictate games for you, and that's why I think there's nobody else on the team that I feel has that type of impact, and especially in some of these games where you could have dictated a little bit more of the game against LAFC. There was a few more games in there where I thought, he could have been I mean, that's where I see the advantage of him, right? And when you put together an 11, and I always believe you put your best 11 on the field. I mean, I think he's easily in the best 11 players on this team. Again, I go to the presence, and that's why I kind of say, well, why isn't this guy starting? He lifts other players. He's like a coach on the field. He's got a mind for the game. Is every pass going to be on point? No, but who else is? I mean, what's the guy's name? Samaseku or Buzat or even McGlynn? I mean, are these guys putting up the performances to basically keep HH on the bench? I mean, that's where I go to, and I think people get the wrong connotation that because he was bench at Toluca, he's just a bench player. And I mean, look at Toluca's roster, man. I mean, there's a reason why he was a bench on that team.
Toluca's literally the best team on this side of the planet.
But I think for this Houston Dynamo, I mean, he's still got some juice to give. Is he going to go 490 on each game? I don't think so when you have some midweek games, but if you're just playing week to week, I mean, I think there's at least once a week you should be able to. I think you can go 90. Is that going to last you the entire season? I mean, there'll be time when you manage the roster and give other guys opportunity. But I think, again, where's the incentive for early in the year saying, I mean, we never hear, listen, we really want to make a run at Supporters Shield. No, it's not even mentioned. We want to go for this Open Cup. We're making, there's never that commitment to saying, and if you fail, you fail, but at least you have the bottle, right? To tell people, hey, no, we're going for this. We want to win. We want to rack up trophies, and we're going to try to compete in every competition. You don't have the Leagues Cup this year. I mean, that's where and from your players, the guys that have that bravado are Herrera or Sviatchenko. I think we haven't heard much from Guillermo, but I think he'd probably tell you the same.
He had a last year with Santos instead of to keep him up for top division with Neymar, so he knows, he has experience, obviously, and knows like, hey, we gotta win these games.
And that's contagious. So, and when your players say that, that's another reason why I think you get them in front of the microphone. There's strategic ways you can do this to where you coach them through it, right? Actually, you only need to tell them, I need you to learn these 2 sentences in English, and that's it. And give yourself those, so we can get some run on English media in town. So we can get, on the 5 o'clock, 10 o'clock news on Channel 2 and 11 and all these guys. But yeah, I mean, I go back to it. I mean, that's what I go to. And the captain's armband thing, I mean, I said because you guys had a conversation about it, but I mean, if we really go in deep, in my opinion, Antonio Carlos got the armband because he's one of Olsen's favorites. I mean, every coach has their favorites. He's got confidence in him, etc. Yeah, but is that a guy that is a good defender? Is he captain material?
Does the team gravitates to him?
Yeah, with the team and the fans, and I mean, again, is he a personality? Again, I say with all due respect, I don't know if Artur necessarily lived up to it because he's not Herrera. He doesn't have the same effect Herrera has on players. And again, Achach is not going to be the kind of guy with an ego to go and take the armband for himself, and he's not going to do that to his boy or Artur. But that's why I bring it up because somebody's got to bring it up. Antonio Carlos, going back to that, I was disappointed that after that Colorado game where they faced, obviously coming up, but that was 6-1, 6-2. Yeah, and that's when your captain shows up. That's when they sent out Sviatchenko because he's probably the only guy willing to talk. But I'm like, where's your captain? Where's Antonio Carlos showing his face? And I mean, if he's got limited English, who cares? But come out and say, hey, listen, this is disappointing. This is unacceptable. This doesn't represent our team. That's when a captain earns the armband or strengthens it.
And just to piggyback off what you're saying, I think that's where we kind of lose the mindset of what a true captain is. I think in the fact of maybe it's hey, Ben Olsen favors Antonio Carlos, and I'm not speaking for Ben Olsen, just saying because he's always available, he has longevity, he's been in these positions before.
He's still whatever he chose him.
But I'll go to you, OSG. I think you see it from a different perspective where you rather have Ache available for the last 20 minutes when you can make something happen at the end of the game, or maybe you want to have him for the first 70 to make something happen, create, and then whatever happens, then you got to substitute him afterwards.
Let's remember, I'm on both sides of it.
Mhm.
Hector Herrera's never going to play 90 minutes for me this year, the way I see his, the way he can play. But if you start him, he's not going to be a defender on the field for you, so you're losing the defender. Okay. Louisville last night, he should have started from the beginning when it's a game you know you're going to possess and you're gonna control the majority of the game. At Austin, I did not agree with him being able to start here. That was going to be a kind of a fight, but you do get Hector out. I have not seen what Victor is saying about Hector and his old ego and his old style this year, where he's out there and he's pushing the players around him and calling for the team to grind together and build. He is doing his creative stuff, and that's Hector playing soccer, but I don't see him playing that captain role anymore. He's just back here. He's enjoying his role. I love for him to start. Again, you're missing a defender, but it has to be against the right opponent.
I think part of that is, I mean, put yourself in his shoes. You're not going to try to, again, he doesn't have, other players do. He doesn't have the ego, I don't think, to, listen, I'm going to overpass Artur or Antonio Carlos, right? So there's that kind of maybe over respect from Herrera.
You're a world-renowned player. You should know. Go ahead and do it. Take over. Get this team going. Pump this team
there's
up.
a hierarchy respecting the team.
There is,
or there should be. And I mean, I think that's so he's trying to give people their place as well. But I'll go with you. So play him 60 minutes from the start then.
Right.
But what is he going to do coming off in the last 10 minutes or the last 20 minutes? And you expect him to? He can rescue you a game. Sometimes they were to work out with USL Championship side like last night. But what if they're down, 3-1 against Colorado, and you bring him off? What are you bringing him off bench for?
Well, yeah, and then I wouldn't use him at all. I probably would. I mean, you do bring him back, but that's where you have to decide against the opponent.
I think you start him. He's a smart guy where he's not gonna overexert himself. Kind of like Messi. Messi's not gonna run just to run. They're smart players that know how to use the field, right? And listen, put younger players around them. And let them do the running and let him dictate. And I think that's the way you sort of use them. If you wanted to, but
minutes. He's not going to exert. He can exert all his energy, and he can play a little defense. He knows, hey Ben or hey Pache, you're playing 60 minutes. I'm going to pull you out later. If things look right, you can play a little bit longer, and you can push the edge and try to go longer.
He's the guy that can dictate the tempo of the game. Where Herrera's not going to allow it to be a bad. No, hey, let's slow this down.
Right,
and that's a good point. So I agree with both of what you guys are saying. OG is saying based on the situation, maybe I can start Ache. In other cases, I can bring him off the bench. I agree with that perspective, but I also agree with Victor in the sense that. And we all agree with this. You notice the tempo increases. There is a sense of urgency trying to push the ball forward instead of possessing it back. That's what I appreciate when Ache is on the field.
Yeah.
Now, to Victor's point, no one else is challenging him. That should be Jack McGlynn's spot to push forward, to take command of the midfield and start creating for the Dynamo. Nobody else does that. So when Ache comes in, you notice the spark, you notice the difference in the midfield.
Yeah. Here's another odd real quick, because I mean, this is just my opinion, doesn't make it right? But to me, because sometimes you can use the captain's armband in that way. Why not have made him McGlynn's team? And granted that he hasn't been healthy, so it might have probably not worked out. But why not put the captain's armband on him? Say, hey, listen, this is your squad. And you're going to have, Hector and Artur and all these guys guiding you, but we're making you the man. And for as long as you're here, you might leave after the World Cup. We're making this your team. We're supporting you. And lift that guy to another level, right? Instead of just kind of letting him
be another one of the guys.
Get sucked up by this, because it's a comfort zone. It is. Last night, McGlynn, he doesn't have the confidence. He missed a penalty. Build these guys up. That's my only knock on McGlynn. Even last year, I don't feel he has enough of a personality. He's got all the talent, but he doesn't have the personality. Ache is the guy that can coach him up and basically give him that confidence and say, hey, it's okay, and do this and do that, and we got your back, and we're all in this thing.
Speaking about the PK that McGlynn had yesterday, he missed. Some say, obviously the goalkeeper might have overstepped or whatever, but obviously there's no VAR. But I want to ask you this. Obviously, you have Bodega starting, and I want to jump back on this because I think this is a very important topic, because obviously he was our DP signing and our most expensive signing this offseason, right? He hasn't seen the ball put back in the back of the net. why not give him the opportunity to see that ball go in the back of the net and make him the PK taker? McGlynn's, this is his first game back from injury. You know, he's still getting the built up, whatever this is and that. I haven't known McGlynn to be a absolute PK taker. So, I mean, let me know if I'm wrong. But, you know, obviously Bodegas is somebody who I need his confidence to skyrocket as quickly as possible.
Right.
Or Paulson might have been another.
Well, Paulson was on the bench. Yeah, but that's
That's a good question.
But-
And I fucked up not asking.
but
That's legit.
But that's what I'm asking. Like, you know, you have your world class player coming in. He's playing against the USL side. Obviously, you're letting him play against this USL side because you want him to build confidence. You're not allowing him to take that PK. I'm not understanding why. You know.
Oh, and a guy that's come back from injury too, so again, but
But you know, but like I said, I mean, you know, McGlynn obviously, like I said, he's our 8. Borges, you're entrusting him to.
here's the guy, I mean, for as young as he is, I mean, he's got the experience.
Yeah,
I mean, he's been in, I mean, he was at Cruz Azul shortly, but I mean, he scored some big goals.
for sure.
I feel, yeah, give him the ball, you do it.
Yeah, I mean, because otherwise, why do I have him on there?
Because by the way, that's a completely different game last night.
Oh,
1-0.
Up 1-0 in the 8th minute.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not saying it's out of reach.
Yeah.
But then you can manage, then you can do more. That's where they screwed up and kind of let it get away from them from the beginning.
Yeah,
Let him hang. Let him hang.
Yeah.
For
For
sure.
sure.
Almost lost it. Yeah,
No,
it was
for sure.
good because we won, but you almost lost it. It took a miracle to tie.
The,
1 minute and 15 seconds.
the thing is, you know, when you have these
And your
clubs,
center back scored.
yeah, when you have these
Spamming crosses. Yeah, your striker.
when you have these clubs that are technically, you know, below your abilities or whatever, and they hang around, they're gonna figure it out. But you know, obviously, had Bodegas taken the PK, he would had he made it, you know, obviously it would have been a whole different thing because obviously Louisville came in already with a disadvantage of, you know, missing starters, you know, coming in, you know, obviously less talented, and all this other stuff, you know, that
At the
was
same time, Bogus has goal contributions, a goal and assist. McGlynn does not. So
Well, I mean, but
it could be the same situation. McGlynn needed that.
But I need to see McGlynn. But see, this is how we're trying to. This is going back to that hierarchy.
That's Billy kicker in.
This is what we'll go back to the hierarchy. I don't expect McGlynn to score 20 goals.
No.
I need Borges to score 20 goals, especially for what I paid for him and what he's done and MLS and what he's done for Cruz Azul. I need him to score 20 goals if this is going to be a successful season for me. McGlynn, cool. He's going to assist. He's going to do his thing. Whatever. His first game back, I can ease him back in, especially because I have Hector, I have some Senko, I have Arthur coming back from injury as well. I have a bunch of midfielders, but my offense, Guillermo, Ponce, Borges. These 3 guys need to get it together and they need to score. Guillermo's doing his part. Ponce and Borges, I need these guys to start picking up some slack because it's going to be an Albert Elite situation where the opponents are going to focus their whole attention on Guillermo and Ponce and Borges.
In theory, that's what we thought was gonna be, where it's like, man, you got these guys that can go out wide, go up top and take on players, and that'll open up your attack. Again, if Finale doesn't fit in, bring him off the bench then and make him compete. And if he outperforms Bogus and Guillermo, then, you know, then say one of those guys and that breeds competition. But it's almost like, well, I got to get a Nolly on the field somewhere, so I'm going to put him at left back or wing back or whatever. Yeah, that's where I'm just, no, man, these are, and again, well, that's another thing. I mean, that they started with the 5 at the back to start the year. I mean, if you sell Dorsey and that plan basically goes out the window, then, you know, and especially if it didn't work out the first few games where you see it struggling, it's changed the formation. Why didn't it take so long to change the
Is
formation?
Senali one of your best 11?
Played in the right position.
I asked because I think Olsen is doing what you said earlier,
Yeah.
which is putting your best players on the pitch somehow.
Yeah, I think, and listen, but, you know, so yeah, maybe I contradict myself a little bit.
Because they started the season with that
But
back
if you're
5.
playing him in his best spot, and I mean, you're trying to put him up top.
Yeah.
And again, the thing that we never, you know, what do you have on the bench that's coming to help out?
Right.
That's where, I mean, and again, maybe you light a fire under Anali, maybe, you get his speed coming up against tired defenders. I mean, that's the other part for me, because, you know, the other reason they play him there is because they keep going in this direction of, we want to have a true left back, we don't want to have a true right back, right? Dorsey was converted. I know they got Negative now,
Yeah.
but he doesn't, I mean,
No,
he's not
he's a
starting.
defender.
Sometimes, I mean, the way.
Yeah, he's not going forward.
Yeah, he's not going
You know,
forward.
that's part of the reason why I don't really buy into Andrade, because and maybe he's just out of position, and that's why.
So real quick, who are your three bigs and your three forwards? You got Ponce, Anali, and Graham. Let's just say you put those three up. Who are your three mids? You have McGlynn, Hector, and Arthur? Or do you add Samaseku and pull Hector? Where are your three mids right there if you're starting your best 11? Guilherme and
Well, considering if everybody's healthy, right?
right?
I think you start out with whoever you got at the back. I'd like Resh, because he's young, and put him next to. Ideally, if Shevchenko was healthy, that's who I'd have. So he can kind of.
He said last night
Nurture
it's
him.
the best he has ever felt in his life, and I kind of chuckled to myself.
Or if it's Carlos, but then again, I mean, then who do you have a right back? I mean, I guess they're playing Andrade right
They're
now.
playing Andrade.
But I mean, I like
Or Holmes.
Somebody-
They're playing Andrade.
Yeah.
Holmes.
Well, yeah, see, and that's the thing. I think we're playing too many players out of position.
Yes,
You
like
know,
Jack McGlynn as left mid.
But see, this is the thing. If you're gonna play the formation that you want to play, make sure you have the players that can play that actual position, right? Like another thing, I think Anali is better at the left wing, but obviously
You're gonna
Guilherme,
bench me.
but obviously Guilherme is dominating the way he is. You can't do that. Now, do you try him on the right? Maybe he does well on the right. Who knows, right? But obviously, you still want to give Borges the opportunity to get out of this stink that he's in. Or maybe Borges goes up top and center.
And that's what I would do right there. And Ali on the right.
And Ali on the right.
Bench Ponce.
And like I said, it's just
and again, and you put pressure on Ponce.
Exactly.
and then it just goes back to the big defense, right? Andre obviously took out Escobar. I think Andre his best spot is on the left, it's
Right.
not on the right.
Right.
You sold Dorsey for whatever. I mean, look, you got $1 million for the guy. The guy was a free agent from Toronto, back in the days. Whatever.
You didn't need
You
to.
know.
I mean, you jeopardize your season
you
for
didn't need to.
$1 million. I mean, that's
You know.
that's nothing in soccer.
No, obviously, but
We already had 6 million.
and then obviously the thought is, my thought is if you're gonna sell somebody, it's because you got somebody in mind that you can
Right.
bring
You
in.
have a place.
But obviously that is what it is. So I feel like Andrade is not in this true position where he was dominating on the left back, where he pushes up when he needs to. I don't think he's a wing back. That's not his style. I think his style is, when he has an opportunity to move up, he'll move up and get in on the offensive side of the ball. But when it's not required, I think for him his requirement is more, hey, I'm going to be 80% defense, 20% offensive. Where as a wing back, you're more 60-40. And look, maybe he doesn't have the dribbling skills to go up there and do like Escobar or like Anali or like Holmes or whatever. But then you've got a player like Holmes who might be gifted offensively, but defensively he's just lackluster. He's not doing anything to help us on the defensive side of the ball. So, but again, it's just I think you got.
It is a puzzle, right? But that's why But they put this roster together. It's the point, and they're the ones that decide. I mean, that's why. You got to fight if you're Olsen and this is your team, and if you're not on board with that decision, that's where you say, no, come on, man.
I got you.
I'm not giving up Dorsey.
Yeah.
Come on, I get a say in this. I need a guy who can play that position, and the other guys, it's a drop off, and it's gonna screw up my season, and it's gonna.
Sorry, let me just. Do you think that's the difference between a head coach and a manager? Because as a manager, they're involved with the personnel as far as hey, no, I need this guy. You can't get rid of him. Whereas as head coach is, hey, wherever they give me, I'll make it happen.
Yeah, well, if that's the case, then again, and now you're kind of shifting around. That's where we're kind of trying to solve this puzzle. And then, I guess to me, it's if you are going to put Anali in that position, you at least got to give him a little bit of liberty to go up, right? And I don't know if that means Guilherme comes down on occasions, just while Anali gets back to his position. I also think you got to have somebody opposite of Anali, and that's maybe where they got Aliyu and that, we haven't really seen that truly come to fruition. But I think that's where you need somebody on the other side to maybe do the same thing with Bogish. But again, are you going to ask them, guys that were, or in theory are attackers, you're asking them to defend, but also, are you going to give them that leeway to attack and to go forward and to be disruptors, to sort of change the game for you, or are you just asking them to kind of defend all the time, which, and again, these guys, they're not gonna say it publicly. But I've talked to enough players in my career. No, I mean, they're not happy doing that. Don't do it because you ask them to, and
they want to be on the pitch.
they want to be on the field,
Yeah.
but they're not happy doing that. And so there's that side of it too. It's a different opportunity now for all of you, but I mean, I think the first time around, when you first got him, he was going forward, he was being a disruptor, he was scoring goals. And then I think they got too much into his head with all data. They asked him to come back and defend, play their style. Where they basically burned him out. They, screwed him up mentally to where you saw what he ended up turning into.
Yeah.
Now it's a fresh start. Again, I think that's why if they have the qualities, fitting into the best qualities of each player. And going back to that, that's, back to the midfield talk. I think ideally, that's why Herrera, you have somebody athletic next to him, so it's not an issue.
Right.
That's maybe where Sanseco and Herrera, right? And he can guide him through. Or if you feel a better pairing is him on our tour, and I don't know if McGlynn's in front of him, again, if he's healthy. Because that's the other thing. McGlynn had to change his spot and be a deeper midfielder, which I don't know if that necessarily suits him.
No.
I sure as hell don't think it helps him for his World Cup case, which is, again, anemically, I mean, how does that affect the player? You think a guy that's trying to make a World Cup roster wants to make a position change? I mean,
it's you see him play with the USA men's national team, and you see how much of a impact he has.
especially when they changed him out wide.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And then
as opposed to when he comes to Dynamo and they're playing him deep and he's nowhere to be. He has to come basically to the last third of the field to get the ball to make anything happen, and that's not, you're not gonna ask him to. He's not the first and foremost, he's not the fastest player. Secondly, I mean, he's not gonna dribble past countless of defenders, so he's not that kind of player. So I mean, you're asking him to come get the ball at the final third, move up and try to create something where he should be creating something already at the top third.
Yes.
I interrupted you, man.
I'll make them real quick. That, the lineup, that's exactly what I would do. Kind of combine everything y'all been saying. I love Ponce to death, but he's got to provide results. So Bogish, take his spot. And Nali on the right, so you can cut in with that left. Guillermo, you can't take him off. And then mix the midfield you guys talked about. Ache as my midfielder that can push up and push back. Help Arthur as the CDM. And McGlynn, like you're saying, top of the box. That's where I want you. I'll figure out the back four with whoever works. That's what I would
And
do.
can we play a normal 4-2-3-1 instead?
Right.
Of course he's gone, and so
here's the other
playing
thing
far left.
with Ache, right? You're playing half a season here, right?
Yeah.
You're taking a World Cup break, so it's not like you're asking him to be a starter all the way to July. That's another reason why I think you could sort of manage this early in the season where you're like, hey, we're going with him as a starter, but summer transfer window, we're bringing in somebody else that can elevate this midfield,
Right.
whether that pushes Ache out or not.
A younger version of him, maybe, possibly. I mean, it's you can tell there's a noticeable difference when you have Ache on the pitch. I feel, because I think the game for him, he's been in so many big games, and obviously La Liga, for Porto, for Pachuca, for Toluca, all that stuff. For him, this game is slow. He just wants to make sure that the people are in the right place, and he's basically another coach on the pitch for me. So that's why I think it's beneficial for us to have him start and be there. Like I said, I'm not asking him to be the Ache that he was when he first came in with us. Where he had the MVP season.
Well, he's not going to have that season again.
Yeah, he's not going to have that season.
But you can still have another good season.
But he can impact. I mean, what's to say he can give us 6 assists and like 4 goals, something like that. But anyways, I want to move on because obviously we're gonna a little stuck with time here. But this Saturday against Colorado Rapids, obviously the last time we saw him, you mentioned it earlier, a 6-2 thrashing at their house. A huge disappointment of the game. I know we had the show the week prior and we made predictions and we thought that they were going to come out there and make something happen. Yeah. They did nothing. So, your thoughts on Victor? I'll get with you first since you're our guest. I'm guessing this game has to be about pride.
It should, and that should be the message tomorrow when Austin does the press conference. And that's again you got to put your guys in front of a microphone. I feel you could help your situation that hey, we want to send out the message that hey, it's pride. We're out there to defend the badge. that 6-2 loss that we had against Colorado, it's still a bitter taste in our mouth. We want to take that away. We want to apologize to our fans because that's not the way this club is supposed to play. We're going to show you tomorrow. And I mean, and again, we want our fans to come out and we want it to be an exciting game. You know, I'm not saying they're going to come out and beat them 5-0, but you got to come out there and you got to
Personality.
yeah, you got to defend your house, and you got to show that. Come on, that's not acceptable. That's not the style you want to play.
Yeah, obviously there was an article in the Chronicle today about the win, and obviously the lackluster attendance, and obviously Victor's speaking about it because, this club, I mean, we've seen sold out stadiums, sold out Robertson Stadium, which was almost a 40,000 seat stadium, back in the days when Shell first opened in 2012. I mean, we had what was it, like 36, 37 consecutive sellouts at home or whatever.
Well, the whole first year, and then
whatever it was, so
opening day used to be an automatic sellout.
Yes.
The Dallas game used to be basically an automatic sellout.
So it's obviously something that can happen. Obviously, when the big name players come to play here, it sells that as well. But like when you have these games, like I said, against Colorado, which is obviously not one of the big echelon teams in MLS, but obviously you have a gripe to deal with them. I mean, to showcase that this team has some kind of flair, some kind of, like, what do you call it? Gravitas.
Yeah.
To go out there and really showcase that, hey man, like this 6-2, this ain't us.
Yeah.
What do you think as far as like the Dynamo players themselves can do to showcase the fan base that, hey man, we're out here, we're playing for this, not for the name of the back, but for this right here.
No, it's ego, but I want to touch on a point that Victor talked on earlier. It's the complacency. The complacency in that building can be felt, and it starts from the top. We spoke with Enali, and I told him, "Hey, what are the objectives for this season?" And everybody in that building will give you the same answer: it's getting playoffs.
Right.
And I told him, "No, you gotta shoot higher, man. You gotta shoot at least conference championship, at least." And that's the problem. The mentality from the top is let's just make the playoffs and see what happens. That's what they're happy with. So I wanted to touch on that. And the second thing I want to get off my chest was we talked about the Dorsey. And hey, you're asking, is Ben Olsen a manager? He had a say. They outvoted him because Ben was pissed at that press conference and said, I stood up and said, but they didn't listen to me.
That's why he lost.
That's one he lost. He said, you win some, you lose some.
But then to Olsen's defense,
and that's what I'm saying. What are we doing here?
As a coach, how are you going to take a play away from him?
And that's right. That's right.
Yes. I mean, if they were offering something, if they were overpaying something huge.
Yeah.
And by the way, why is it? Oh well, his contract's coming up because I've heard that excuse.
Yeah.
Why does that have to? I mean, the guy can't stay. You can't offer him a new contract and keep him here.
You don't know how he's going to be a year from now.
I mean, that's automatically out the window. It's like, oh, he's not staying, so we gotta get some money out of this.
So
Who scored last night?
did he? Oh, okay. Well, that was
brilliant Rockets.
So I hate to bring it back, but I just want to get that point across.
But see, this is what I'm talking about because obviously, look, I've mentioned it on this show before, and I've mentioned it wherever wants to talk to me. Obviously, look, I'm grateful for what Ben Olsen did during his tenure, right? U.S. Open Cup, Western Conference run, 2 seasons, especially from what we were under the Brenner and all that other stuff era, to get us back out of that and, give us 2 great seasons back to back. Last season was a disaster. Okay, cool. Whatever. We'll you get a redo, right? But this season, like I said, it starting to look like it's a repeat of last season, And then I go back to like San Jose, for example, brings in Bruce Arenas. They lost Joseph Martinez, Christian Espinosa, Arango.
But they went and got Timo Werner.
They got Timo Werner, but Timo Werner took a little bit of time to get acclimated, right? But
they got some young guys, but they're challenging for Supporter Shield.
Supporter Shield. I think they've only lost 1 game. They're along the way the quarterfinals for the U.S. Open Cup, and obviously Bruce Arena, he has a track record.
They changed the vision.
He has a track record.
Yeah.
He has a track record.
Well, so does Olsen, but the track record's different.
But the track record, he's already met it. He won a U.S. Open with his, and obviously he's a DC United legend, whatever. So they gave him a little bit of grace and give him a longevity time. you know, like I said, I'm grateful for what he did. Ben Olsen will always have a place in Dynamo history, you know, but there's levels to this as far as like where there's levels of players, there's level of coaches. And if we're ever going to get to that or ever try to return to that upper echelon of MLS, we have to understand that not only do we have to be top level with players on the field, but with the coaches on the sidelines. And like I said, I feel that Ben Olsen has already reached his ceiling, and that's it. And now, from all the grace that he's gotten from the city of Houston and Dynamo fans, I feel that he's going to lose it because if this season ends up being a miserable non-playoff season, and then he still comes back next year, and it's another false start in the season, those first 2 years are going to mean nothing to me. You know.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know.
it was a honeymoon period. I mean, I give it.
And he won
credit.
Yeah.
But also, that's why I go back to, you got to also give HH credit, which I don't think he got enough.
No, I don't think he got enough.
In carrying that team. I think you can see some of the similar scoring struggles in that season. I know you can go back and look at the numbers, but there were some anomalies there where they got some extra goals in some games. When they got to the playoffs, they ran into those troubles. They had the attendance troubles in the playoffs too, by the way.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's why I go back to, you know, I think, and I've said it, I think Olsen can change, but he's got to be flexible and opening up his tactics a little bit, being more attack oriented. That doesn't mean you sacrifice the defense. All the contrary, it's easy to defend when you're up 3 goals, but you can't just sit on the one. Not against some of the talent in this league, not against some of these teams. And again, you have to set the tone as an organization. And I mean, last night, just a simple thing about the attendance. Oh, well, it's not up to me to fix the problems of U.S. soccer. And I get part of that, but there's also the other side where, like you just said, what your players are saying, what your coaches are saying, indirectly, it's message of the organization. And again, it comes from the top. There's got to be a message that says, listen, we want as many fans in the building. We want to make the city of Houston fall in love with this team. We're doing everything possible. And, again, you don't have to.
And I'll say this, and then obviously I want to get your guys' predictions before. Calvin Sampson didn't have to do anything for U of H, but he went out there to give out free tickets and this and that, right?
Yeah.
For U of H before that program became a powerhouse.
I saw him.
That's similar to what the Robertson guys used to do in the early days.
That's what they did. Camps, gave out tickets, this and that, whatever. But obviously, I don't want to get into that into detail.
But that's another reason why getting away Dorsey. You had a guy that already built in a connection.
He was the longest tenured
That's
player.
not worth $1 million to you.
That's huge, longest tenured player. It's basically your face.
Now you got to reestablish all that with somebody else that nobody knows, that may not even like as much. Different players, different style.
All right, I hate to do this.
Real quick on Ben, though. Pat brought him in, said trust the process, and told us why he was bringing in Ben Olsen after Nagamura.
Okay.
To get us to a certain point to do this, and basically that's not
To
going
get
back
to the
to.
playoffs, because they didn't get there with
And to restructure that roster that they were building, complete rehaul. He, as you mentioned, he has met his ceiling. And that's what I've been preaching for the past, 2 months now. He's met his ceiling. I don't think he can improve or elevate his tactical coaching unless he utilizes those coaches behind him. So that's why I've been saying, all right, I think Ben is done. Let's move and elevate to the next coach. Who that's going to be, I don't know. How can we bring him here? I don't know. But Pat's starting to get on my nerves too by not holding Mr. Olsen accountable or not holding him accountable publicly when he should be.
Or not listening to
friends.
him. If you trust them.
That's where it's covered him. But I'm saying like, that's where it's built in. Where it's I'm not saying he doesn't hold him to a high standard, but it's not going to be cutthroat.
Yeah,
right.
Because I think Ben gave Pat his opportunity to become a coach for DC.
Yeah, so
obviously it goes back a while.
Man, I'm not Glenn Davis. You can cancel me, but you're going to be on the hot seat really quick.
So, anyways, I hate to ask you first, OSG, but prediction time. Colorado Rapids this Saturday at home. Can we get payback, or is it going to be one of those things where we were talking last time? 6-2?
6-2. They're going to score 6 again? Yeah, no. Yeah, come on. Their 6-1 was, what was it, a stupid penalty kick? We're already losing 5-2, and then we give up another one. They don't have no fight. They don't have no grit. they probably done forgot about this Colorado game. They're just gonna go out, line up the 11 that start the game and just go out there and play. I'm hoping they can fight a little better since it's home, but no, I'm not confident.
Colorado's they're
Colorado did go through a fight last night, had to go all the way to penalty kicks against the USL team as well. So they played last night too, so that I'm sure they'll be ready for us, but I'm not confident that we're gonna win. I'm hoping for a draw right now.
draw. Victor?
Well, it is a tougher Colorado side than it usually is. Because they got a new coach and they're trying to do something different there. They got a few good players, but I mean, I go back to it. I don't think, besides a few teams in this league, you should be able to defend your house, especially with the guys that you have. You should be able to see out a result. I think they win, and I'll tell you why. I think, and this is the beauty of this is why you would want more media pressure. I think they look at that Chronicle article, they look at shows like this, they look at some of the questions. I mean, that the stuff that kind of, and you don't want to be comfortable, but I do think they do kind of, you get insulted by that stuff, whatever. I think they'll come out with a little bit of fire to try to,
Regain some of that.
yeah, the public perception that no, this isn't down the dumps like everybody's talking about, and try to fix.
We'll see if we can build that fire.
some of this
morning.
Yeah, no, I can't give you a score, but they better win. Are you a man? Like, you got some pride in you? Like, challenge that manhood. You got whooped 6-2.
Yeah.
Like, it show me that. Like, this weekend, this team will show us if they got some fight, if they got some dog in them. We thought they did because early in the season they made some comebacks, but now we're at a pivotal point in the season where, like, are you a contender or a pretender? And you got your ass beat, so now it's your turn to punch back, and that's what I want to see, man. That's what I want to see. So they have to get 3 points.
Victor, I'll ask you this before we close. Is there a score line or anything that can happen Saturday where Vince becomes extremely hot?
I don't think so, because I don't think his seat's hot. I think he has the support of the owner, and then obviously the general manager and then technical or president of soccer, I should say, with Pat Ostad and Asher Mendelson, technical director, which is another guy that gets completely no heat, no everything goes to Pat. If Ponce wasn't Ponce credited to being an Asher signing, if I'm not mistaken, if my memory serves me correct. So it's kind of like Matt Jordan with the data and the analytics, and I think sometimes we gotta also
The eye test.
think about what's on the field, and it's not overcomplicated, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, going back to, I agree with Herman. I mean, this is the game where you got to come out and show some pride, send out a message to the fan base that at least from the roster's point, from the coaches, because if you want to distance yourself from the ownership and the lack of marketing and all that stuff, hey, you could at least say we're doing our part, and that loss isn't acceptable. We're going to go out and defend a badge, and that's all you can truly ask of them, and that's what people want. They want results, they want wins, and they want goals.
Well, I mean, in every sport that I follow, if you have a winning product, people will come. So,
I mean, that should have been the answer last night
That's
too.
part of it, but I mean, I think here we've seen that again. It's going to take. They have a lot of losing to offset. They have a lot of bad years.
They got something going for them.
The Brenner era did destroy a lot of things, right? And obviously they have a large hill to climb as far as gaining back those beginning Dynamo fans or whatever, or gaining new ones.
If they even want them back.
If they even want them back, or or getting the casuals, right? But I mean, like I said, there has to be moves along the way to where, hey, you have to elevate yourself. And obviously, like I said, the move from going from a first year coach from Tab and Nagamaro, that wasn't it. You hire a veteran coach in Olsen, great. He gets you to playoffs to win the trophy, great. He's already stagnant. Okay, now you got to go and move on to the next level. But obviously, we have to see that. So one last quick thing. So even if Dynamo lose 6-2 again at home, you don't think there's no?
I don't think so, because again, I think the ownership brought in Ben Olsen because they wanted a team that gets to the playoffs.
Mhm.
Olsen can do that, and that's the bar. And as long as he does that at the end of the year, that's what they're happy with. There's no talk about MLS Cup. There's no talk about Supporter Shield. That's where I wish the fan base was a little bit more alive and demanding.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you're a bad fan. That doesn't mean you can't go to games or you have to protest by not going. But you can speak your mind and say, hey, listen, we expect this team to be more.
I don't care about just MLS games. I want international. I want to play against America.
I want
play.
Conca champions.
Yeah, I want Conca champions. I want if
You want to make it to the Club World Cup.
Yes,
You want to
yes,
get back to being a content. You want to get back to being what you had in the Robertson days
Yeah.
where you had guys that gave you their heart outs on that field. So we'll see.
I get it.
The hot seat would be if we continue to play bad when we hit that World Cup break.
The hot seat would be if it comes from like the Surge when they did the Jordan out banner.
Yeah.
If they did a Nelson out banner, that's where we get a hot seat.
Well, we'll see.
It ain't
what
gonna
happens.
come from internally.
And as long as they're still alive in the Open Cup, he's safe, dude.
Well, I mean,
That's the other thing that's keeping that seat icy, you know?
we'll see what happens. Well, anyways, guys, this is one of our first of many live shows that we're planning on doing for Noodle Time. Remote shows. Victor, thank you for.
Yeah, man. I was so happy to see you come, man. Good to see you, bro.
So, you're welcome anytime, whether online or live, whatever. But, guys, obviously, like I said, it was great to do this with you guys. I haven't seen you in a while, but it's always a fun time to talk Dynamo. Obviously, like you can tell from our passion and stuff like that, we demand a higher, type of club that we want. We love this club. I mean, dude, are you getting paid for this?
Hell no.
Are you getting?
I wish.
Look,
I don't even live here.
But we love this club. We do this thing because we love this club and we want to see this club back to its glory days, and even though, like you said, Victor mentions that there's not a lot of pressure in the Houston media to push this club to, to do bigger and better things, but hopefully,
Man, plus we're in a World Cup year, man.
That's what I'm saying. The Astros suck this year. And you have World Cup in your city.
exactly.
Like, you got a good chance this
man.
year, man.
But with that being said, she let the people know where to find us, man.
Yeah, we do, because we got soccer's closing and they want to go.
Yeah, they wanna
So, they're ready. They're seeing being antsy out there, but thank y'all for listening. Foxtrot TV on YouTube and any platform where you listen to your podcast. You can hear us. Just Noodle Time is the search engine at Dynamic Foxtrot on all socials across the board. IG, X, even Blue, whatever Sky that is. Yeah, all over the place at Dynamic Foxtrot. We're Foxtrot Media. You can find us anywhere and everywhere, but Foxtrot TV is the best place where you get to see Ugly Mug and these guys.
So, Victor, let them know where they can find you. I know they can find you.
Yeah, I've been a little bit on a break here, but I think you can find stuff on Soccer Tejas. You can find stuff on Deportes Nation. I also joined the guys Club Deportes if you want to hear some Spanish as well. Yeah, there you go.
Appreciate you, man. Like I said, guys, look, obviously right now we have a little bit of a bad taste in our mouth for what happened in Austin, but obviously a little bit of a good taste from what happened with the US Open Cup. But regardless if we're up or down, we're always going to hold down for H-Town. So, let's go Dynamo, let's go Dash, let's go Dynados, and stay Noodle, like Andres says. Stay Noodle. Oh, man, appreciate you.